He thinks you're dangerous.
What do you think?
These videos are not for children. If you're a children, then piss off.
Hey there, it's me, your least favorite YouTuber, Infuso. And I've recently just spoke about the problems with Heath Ledger's Joker, and how it actually differed from the original character. Despite this, I think I made it more than clear that that was the best acted role in the entire franchise. And while I did have some critiques on how the character was written, the acting was always absolutely authentic. Which can't also be said for this series' Batman. And that's why we're gathered here today to talk about the problems with Christian Bale's Batman. Now, first and foremost, before I get into my issues with the character, let me first give the actor his roses. Christian Bale is an absolutely amazing actor. He is so good at what he does that he actively elevates the quality of any and all movies he's ever been associated with. Even the not-so-good ones were made that much better by his mere presence. I mean, don't get me wrong, Terminator Salvation isn't going to win any awards, but it would be downright terrible had he not starred in it. At the very least, the guy's inclusion makes what he's in part of at least more watchable, and better off for having him been a part of it. Saying that this guy is good at what he does is a complete understatement. And quite frankly, that statement itself seems criminal in just how little justice it does when talking about this man's career. Christian Bale has the uncanny ability to sink into his roles and make the audience believe he isn't a guy playing a character, but that he is in fact that character. From the extreme measures he's taken to look the part, whatever that may entail, putting on muscle, taking it all off, getting bone thin, getting fat, this guy has done it all for his craft, and I absolutely respect him as an actor for it. And as a man, well, quite frankly, I think he's crazy. I think in order to even attempt to do the things that he succeeded in, you have to have a screw or two loose. And trust me, I know all about that. I'm not exactly playing with the full deck either, if you know what I mean. And if I'm being honest, I do think that he really nails the role in these movies. Half of the time. What you need to remember is that any actor who's cast in the role of Batman is essentially playing two parts at the very least. You have the persona of Bruce Wayne and the person of Batman. And no, I didn't say that backwards. I have forever said now that Batman is the man and Bruce Wayne is the mask. And I know that there are some who dispute this, including people that I'm actually very friendly with, but I don't think that they quite understand what it is I'm saying when I'm saying that. So maybe that's a video for a different day. The point is that any actor playing Batman is not just playing Batman, but also playing Bruce Wayne. And while both parts are part of the same performance, the performances themselves are never going to be completely alike. Or at least they probably shouldn't be. But to further convolute things, this part, which is usually divided into two, is sort of divided into three in the Dark Knight films. In this trilogy you have Batman the persona, Bruce Wayne the person, and Bruce Wayne the persona. He divides himself up, only showing his true self in private when speaking to father figure Alfred, or on occasion when talking to lifelong childhood friend and crush Rachel Dawes. And the person part of the character, Bale really gets down. He brings a very human quality to a billionaire who dresses up as a bat, which is a lot harder than it may sound. Bale's Bruce comes off as sincere in spurts, and it's almost like he's publicly trying to fight off these feelings, or at the very least attempting to mask them. But overall, he comes off as a fairly personable person, who just so happens to not like to get too close to people, mostly due to his nighttime hobbies. He has a certain likability to him that I don't think was completely present in a lot of the past performances of the character. Or at the very least, they're usually not focused on. But this movie wasn't afraid to show you Batman as a man. Hell, the entire first movie was all about this side of the character adapting, evolving, and creating the additional two sides of the character. The two personas. Unfortunately though, after this movie, Bruce the Man became much less a focal point and kind of only appeared in passing. Ironically enough, you would only see the real Bruce Wayne inside of the Batcave. Whether this be because the attention was being put on more interesting scene-stealing characters, or an actual intentional creative decision to show Bruce delve deeper into the darkness, one way or another, I think it really works for the character. And it shows that he's essentially attempting to give up being the man in order to become the myth, just as Ra's al Ghul trained him to do. So whether intentional or not, this still really plays into the character, and I think has been widely understated in his overall performance in these movies' depiction of Bruce Wayne. Christian absolutely gets this down. And in terms of Bruce Wayne the persona, well, I would say that he fulfills the role even more so in that. He's just so effortlessly believable as a smug, self-centered, solely involved individual who just throws money around freely as a front. It's a good act, and honestly, if I was a Gotham City resident, he would literally be the last person I'd suspect to be Batman. Because the man doesn't seem to care about the world outside his reflection. I can't emphasize enough how perfectly he betrayed the character's falsified public image. His fiction resembles fact, and he blends in with his privileged peers without a problem. Point blank, the guy is a very, very, very believable jerk. And actually, it's this part of the character that I think he excelled in above everything else. Christian Bale basically took his role from American Psycho and dialed it back about 2 or 3 notches to create the perfect Bruce Wayne. Ironically though, the one part of the character that I think he really failed in was arguably the most important one. As great as these Batman movies are, they didn't necessarily have the greatest Batman. First off, I already said that I felt that they divided what should have been a 2-sided performance into a 3-sided one, convoluting things just a bit more. And what I mean by this is that this Batman doesn't act anything like he does when he's Bruce Wayne the person, and he also doesn't act anything like Bruce Wayne the persona. He's a completely separate third entity living amongst the two. And unfortunately, he is the least compelling of the 3. But even aside from that, I have never liked anything about his performance as Batman. Like, literally, nothing.
Sorry to disappoint.
I completely understand how he got the role. If that dude came into the audition looking like Bruce Wayne, speaking like Bruce Wayne, acting like Bruce Wayne, I would say give him the part too. But was he just not given like a Batman screen test? I mean, I know he was because I'm playing it for you now, but how is it possible that he's this bad in this role when he's so good at the other 2? For me, Batman should seem naturally intimidating. Because there's nothing scary about someone who's trying to sound scary. Case in point, Kevin Conroy's Batman changes his voice between roles. But at the end of the day, both Bruce and Batman sound almost natural in their delivery of lines. Like you can believe both sides of the character as being real people. Michael Keaton did very little to change the sound of his voice. He didn't deepen his voice, he didn't rasp up his vocal cords. The man straight up induced fear by speaking in a calm and concise manner.
I'm Batman.
For me, it's all about demeanor. And I'm sorry, but I think the adult criminals of Gotham City could see through this Halloween act almost immediately. Like, I know that they all acted afraid of him, but I never really bought it. It always seemed like bullshit to me. His yelly smoker's voice never once comes across as raw or real. And because of this, it just all seems less legitimate. It's a very goofy addition to movies that are decisively not goofy. The guy doesn't sound scary, it sounds like he's choking on marbles. I mean, the guy's the star of the show, but he still feels fairly out of place. Look, there's a reason the internet memed this part of the performance to hell. We're honestly at a point in life now where whenever I think of these movies, I think of the countless parodies they inspired. Each one doing the same lazy, lame-ass impression which sounds like Batman struggling to catch his breath. Like me at the end of that sentence. I will admit, it did seem like this was lessened in the first film, like maybe there was just like a little bit of rasp there. It wasn't ideal there by any means, but it was nowhere near as stupid as it sounds in the next 2 installments in the franchise.
I can't beat 2 of your pawns.
Crane's been smuggling his toxin hidden inside Falcone's drugs and then dumping it in the water supply.
They were splitting the shipment in 2. Only half went to the dealers.
Do I look like a cop?
Then you're gonna love me.
Where is he?
I don't know where he is. He found us.
He must have friends.
One man or the entire mob. He can wait. Let her go. You made a serious misthrow.
It's just such a piss-poor choice from an actor who could have done better, and approved by a director who should have known better. The Dark Knight shouldn't be the low point of a movie titled The Dark Knight. Why is Batman the worst part of a Batman movie? This what? It really sucks because every other part of the character is spot on, but this stands out as being shockingly underwhelming. I used to loathe sitting through the scenes when he had his mask on. What I hate even more is that his voice came without rhyme or reason. He sounded like this in order to intimidate and interrogate the criminals that he came across. But somehow these scripts confused that, and just figured, he should always sound like that whenever he has the mask on. Even if there's no one around literally no one around to hear him. Like, come on, who was that for? Was that for me in the audience? Because I didn't ask for that. You can take that back. I would like the receipt. Additionally, I also thought the character experienced some lapse in logic. Everyone knows that Bruce Wayne became Batman after witnessing the murder of his parents. Their deaths gave Batman life. But then his would-be girlfriend dies and he just gives the gig up altogether? Yeah, I don't think so. Look, I'm not getting on the guy for taking some time off to heal a broken heart. I get that. That makes plenty of sense to me. You know, he is a man underneath the bat mask. But giving it up? Calling it quits just like that? I don't think so. Rachel died. Yeah, dude, your f***ing parents died. That's what all this is about. That's why you do this, to prevent these things. So wait, you were able to keep the world safe when you were Batman, and then you lost one person, and now you're just gonna let everybody die? To me, Batman wouldn't give up. If anything, he would add her to an unspoken, unwritten list of loved ones that Bruce is out to avenge with his justice. I personally think that the loss of his love would only propel Bruce deeper into that darkness, strengthen his bond with the mask, not deter him from it, let alone doing so knowing that he let the Joker win. The clown broke the bat in their very first outing? Excuse me? Despite ending the Dark Knight with Batman standing strong and proving the Joker wrong, he was still inevitably right. I mean, you had the guy just randomly decide to take the rap for Harvey's crimes, which, I mean, I think that in general is also a questionable decision. And I know a lot of people have attempted to explain this to me. Oh, V, you don't understand. You don't get the movie and how complex it is. It's deep. He did this to save Harvey's image and create the bad guy that the public can unite after. I get it, but I don't like it. It's still lacking. This was a dumb decision because Batman didn't need to sully his own good name. He could have very easily put these crimes on the Joker, who on some level does deserve the credit for that, as he masterminded the whole ordeal and manipulated a vulnerable and tragically scarred Harvey Dent. You get to save everybody's reputation, and the truth of the matter is, you wouldn't really be lying by doing so. You could just pull that Obi-Wan Kenobi from a certain point of view trick, and you're good. It makes sense. I mean, what is the Joker gonna say? No, I didn't do that? Who's gonna believe him after all that he's done? Like, come on now, like, Joker could have very easily been that villain to unite society. Why did you have to take the rap? No one asked you to do that. You just you volunteered it. Why are you all stupid? You all talk so profoundly, but you're also f***ing dumb. You upset me. But then you take that sacrifice that was made at the end of that movie, and it feels so much more meaningless when you factor into the fact that Bruce just went home that night and silently retired. Why did any of this occur? Did it need to? No. I really like that The Dark Knight Rises provides a Bruce Wayne who is tortured over the loved ones he's lost. I like that. I'm in favor of that. I think there's a real compelling story to be told there. And sometimes in intervals, the movie does offer up such things. But it's never consistent, and I feel that it's misguided in how it goes about showcasing a sad Bruce. Seeing him instantly succumb to his sadness and not overcome it in a selfless effort to save lives just feels very off-brand for the character. Because for me, Batman is about triumph. Look, I'm not saying it's right or healthy, but the Bruce Wayne I know thinks of himself last and the world surrounding him first. If I was writing the story, Rachel's death would have only further isolated Bruce from existence and led to Batman becoming much more prominent. The death of Rachel shouldn't have led to the death of Batman. It should have led to the death of Bruce Wayne. That would be the story that I would try to tell. A Batman who's much more ready to make sure what happened to him would never happen to anyone else. Because, you know, this is a Batman movie, and those are Batman's intentions. That is literally why he put on the cape. I also find it incredibly strange and off-putting that as soon as Alfred tells Bruce that Rachel was gonna swipe left on him, he's just suddenly over it. He's like, yeah, she was my first crush. A lifelong friend, someone I loved deeply on multiple levels. But you're saying she wasn't gonna leave her would-be fiance for me? What a bitch. I'm glad she's dead now. I'm good. I mean, no, he didn't say that, but that's hardly an exaggeration of what it felt like. All he needed to move on from her death was knowing that she wasn't gonna choose him? Really? This silently robs Bruce of that humanity I spoke of earlier. And it kind of makes him look like a one-track tool who lacks any sort of complexity or compassion, unless something directly affects him. It almost makes that fake narcissism the character shows when he's in character bleed into his real, private personality. I don't know, it's just a low point of the character altogether for me. It's weird because there's a slow build, and yet this is so heartlessly rushed. Like, immediately after, he's like, hey, Rachel wasn't gonna choose me. Well, I'll show that dead chick. And then he just gets with several women throughout the runtime after that. The detective work in these movies, I want to credit, because they tried. They did attempt to show Batman being a detective. But his detective work leads to very little in the overall plot. And usually, it doesn't make any goddamn sense. Obtaining fingerprints from a shattered bullet in a brick? I don't know shit about shit, but like, that can't be a real thing, can I mean, I'm not a forensics expert. Inform me in the comment section below. Furthermore, the fact that he rarely arrives at the right answer from his detective work doesn't do his world's greatest detective moniker any justice. Though again, it's an improvement that this was used at all because it so rarely was before. I think you had one scene in Batman 1989 and then the next 3 movies just forgot that he was also supposed to be a detective. Because the writers of those movies, as much as I love some of them, decided man in batsuit punch hard. Also, this is nobody's fault really, except for the wardrobe designer, but I never really liked the way the suit looked. I liked that it vaguely resembled armor, like that was cool and different at the time, but design-wise, it just looked very basic and bleak to me. I didn't love it. Overall, I love Christian Bale. I love Christian Bale as Bruce Wayne, but I don't even like Christian Bale as Batman. I believe that he succeeds whenever he's without the mask, but I can't help but see him as a total failure whenever he puts it on. This performance is very Tale of Two Cities. It was the best of Bruce Wayne, it was the worst of Batman. So if you like this video and would like to see me talk about the problem with the Dark Knight's Two-Face, let me know in the comment section below by leaving a comment saying,
Happy watching, thank you, sir.
And with all that being said, I was your least favorite YouTuber, Infuso, and I thank you for watching. Hope to see you in the next one.
I am vengeance. I am the night, and that was Infuso. Just remember, if you're not tuning in, then you're missing out.
So, if you like the words that came out of his mouth hole, and you too would like to become a V-generate, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, nerds!
And if you're not joining the fun, you're in for one bad day. And you know what they say about having one bad day?
Catch him next time. Same bat time, same bat channel.